I don't know what happened to Artsploitation films. I don't think they released a whole bunch of things that I necessarily liked. Um, but one thing they did release that I like and I held on to over the years, even after I purged a lot of things that I had just cluttering up the shelves, was Wither, a Switzerland horror film with a whole lot of gore, which is basically, let's be honest, even though it's not called that, it's kind of a remake of Evil Dead. Um, it is, but if I didn't say already, I think it's from 2012. I believe, yeah, 2012. I watched it when it came out, loved it, and decided that now would be a good time just to go back and revisit it. But what shocked me the most is like there's a pair of guys that directed this thing. They're the same dudes that went on to do the Puppet Master Lewis Reich movies, and the quality change from this to that to me just seems very drastic. Although I need to go back probably and watch that Puppet Master movie because maybe it needs another look. But this one, loved it from the start, love it now. Um, Very Evil Deadish, but obviously we're not dealing with demonic entities here. We're dealing with these little beings that's supposed to dwell underground and whatnot. You get the lore there, and I think in the English language it kind of transfers over to being called Withers or Wither or whatever. So that's where the name comes from. But this guy and his girlfriend are going to this like cabin out in the middle of the woods somewhere, and they're taking her brother and some more friends of theirs, and they arrive at this house where, thanks to the opening of the movie, we learn already that at least in the wooded area that something bad has already happened. And they get there, and the guy that was involved in what happened at the start of the movie is lurking in the woods with a gun, which alarms them. um, One of them goes prowling around in a basement where they come face to face with one of these creatures that are that the lore is, if they look you in the eye, they can take your soul basically and possess you. And then it becomes like an Evil Dead thing where the evil gets passed basically from person to person. Kind of zombie-ish, but it's not zombies because you can't just shoot them in the head and kill them. You kind of have to do the Evil Dead thing of just basically destroying them, the most of them, to get rid of them. But, we're watching friends basically hit survival mode with the world falling apart around them in the middle of nowhere, and they're having inner turmoil, and they're having, problems getting anybody there, and it's just a short and sweet. Well, I say short and sweet. I think it's like an hour and a half, but it's like it's just a nice Switzerland field gore ride, or a gore ride from Switzerland, if you want me to say that. And I can't praise it enough. I think the only negative I have for it is there isn't a dub version, so you do have to read it. But it's worth making that sacrifice and reading this, even though I've heard people say before that reading is only for prisoners. I do think when you got a strong enough movie, it's okay to go with the natural language and read the subtitles. So I will actually put this up there with Old Boy as one of the few movies I did not mind reading the subtitles of. But yeah, it's fun. It's there's no CGI. It's all blood and gore. It's natural effects. It's practical effects, I should say. And it's likable enough characters, and you don't want to see bad things happen to some of these people, which, that's good because when it does, you feel bad about it. And it's good to have a little bit of a horror movie that kind of, you know, pulls at some emotions from time to time. Um, there's no comedy here, even though it's like basically Evil Dead in Switzerland. There is no comedy, so it's more Evil Dead 1 than Evil Dead 2. The lead guy even wears a shirt very similar to Ash, so yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. They're not trying to hide that, but it's going to get those comparisons. You're not going to watch this without making those comparisons. Most people are going to see this and make those comparisons. So I think this movie embraces it, and I don't think it's at all an insult to compare it to Evil Dead because Evil Dead is a 5 out of 5. This one is a 4 out of 5, so it almost gets there, but it gets there enough for my personal liking. So the only complaint I have, I think Artsploitation films may be out of business. It's like, why can't we get a Blu-ray of this? At least a Blu-ray. I ain't gonna even say 4K. Why can't we just get a Blu-ray of it? But yeah, here's what the case looks like. Artsploitation movies at least look good. The packaging at least look good. There's some more stuff there. There's our lead guy in his very ash shirt. There's his girlfriend. And does that not look like a picture you would see out of Evil Dead? There's some of the pictures of what our evil forces look like in this movie. But yeah, it's one of those things like that Swedish homage to Evil Dead. So yeah, they know what they're doing. And we get behind the scenes, deleted scenes, 8-page collectible booklet, which is a nice read, by the way, and Artsploitation trailers. So, yes, if you've never seen this, then by all means, that would have been a pretty good cover there. By all means, if you've not seen this, go find you a copy. I looked on eBay before I made this video, and I'm pretty sure it's affordable, so it's nothing outrageous. You can get it for like 20 bucks, basically, or under 20 bucks. Maybe one day we'll get a Blu-ray. Maybe Artsploitation will come back and give us a Blu-ray of this. But this is something that is very much worth seeing, and was probably one of the best films. If not, I'd have to go back and double check and see what came out the year that this came out. But it's definitely one of the best films of that year.